Greetings and salutations from the southern tropics of Michigan. I'm Jordan, the IT guy, and let's chat about what happens when PowerShell type information goes terribly, terribly wrong. For those of you just joining us, last week we talked a little bit about variables and their types when it comes to PowerShell. Things like, how do you figure out if a variable is a string? How do you figure out if it's an integer? How do you figure out what these things are? Today we're going to rehash that a little bit in the format of, why do we care? So, if you're familiar with coding, you probably know where this is going. And here you have a variable. We have what's called the interpreter. Now, if you're coming from the C# world or one of the other strongly typed languages world, you're used to this idea. You type what you want the variable to be right off the bat. You do the same thing in PowerShell, but most people typically don't. This is only important in the case where the PowerShell interpreter makes a bad assumption, or you take something that is not possible to merge with another type of object of a similar nature. Let's go ahead and take a look at some examples and jump right into it. All right, again, we're going to be working with a Windows 11 machine and PowerShell version 5.1. Let's take a look at this. So to start with, if we do something like hello equals hello and hit enter, and we do $world equals world, oops, and we hit enter, right? We can do something like hello plus world. Cool, we've put two strings together. In fact, if we wanted to make this super pretty, we could do something like this, right? And then it would be hello space world. That's fine, it's dandy. PowerShell understands that we want to basically merge these two strings together or put them together. Additionally, we could also do something like $1 equals 1, enter, $2 equals 2, and hit enter, and do $1 plus 2, and we would in fact get 3. However, if we were to do, now I'm using up arrow here, by the way, to cycle through my commands, and if we were to do something like 1 and hit enter, and we were to do something like 2 and hit enter, and we were to do 1 plus 2 again and hit enter, we'd get 12. Now, why does this matter, or what happened here? The reason for this is because of those double quotes that were right there on the thing. It told the PowerShell interpreter to basically interpret this as a string. It said, hey, parse this and think it's a string. How do we know that, though? This comes back to the concept of types. If we were to do one.getType like this, we would in fact see and find out that 1 in this instance was a string. And if we were to do 1 equals 1 and hit enter, and we were to then do a getType, we would see that it is actually an int32 or a numerical. This is just one example of how trying to mishmash strings together can kind of go terribly wrong. Now, in order to help preserve this, you can do things like int32 1 equals 1. Now, if you type 1, it's still 1. And if you do one.getType, excuse my lack of capitalization there, and enter, we'll see that it is in fact a number despite it having these quotes. This is because we explicitly told PowerShell that this variable, whatever we put in here, we should try to convert it and make sure that it's a number. It's technically using another method in there to enforce and ensure that it can be translated over into a number. Now, if we were to do something like this, it would yell at us because it can't convert that string data essentially into a number. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you might be able to think of or see some ideas as to why this might matter for you in the future when you're trying to do math or strings or manipulate those around. Next week, we'll be talking a little bit more in depth onto some of the other advanced types of objects that we can put and the other advanced types of variables that we can create above and beyond just strings and integers. I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.